Hi, it's Paul here, and in this video I want to take a quick wander through Google Analytics. In my experience talking to local business owners, many people are aware of their headline figures for their websites, how many people come to their site per month and so on, but not too many seriously use Google Analytics and use it to analyze what's going on with their site and looking for areas of improvement. So we'll have a quick look at the basics here and try and persuade you to start doing that. So here's the view that you typically get when you first come into Google Analytics. It's the audience overview, and you can see here there's a graph covering about a 5-week period, starting in July and ending in mid-August. You can change the range if you want to. You can come to the date here at the top of the graph. You can extend the range, or for instance you could make a comparison. So if I click on this compare button and go to previous year and say apply, I can see how we were doing last year. That's the orange graph, and as you can see the numbers are pretty much the same. You've got the peaks, but generally there's a very slight incline, an uptrend through this period. The takeaway here is that we're not doing worse than last year, but we're not doing any better. So perhaps this, we ought to be working a bit harder to up our numbers. I should just explain that this is a website that I kind of act as webmaster for. I built it a couple of years ago for free for an engineering society, and they make model steam trains that are big enough for kids to have rides on. It's a nice little railway, and so it's a local attraction, and so parents use it when they're looking for days out with the kids. So let's look a little bit further. Let's take this comparison off and apply that and see what else we can do just with this opening view. Well, to begin with, we've got the headline figures there. These are the ones that people tend to know about already. 1,526 sessions during the period, 1,125 unique users, page views there was 7,403. An average of 4.85 pages are viewed per session. People tend to stay for about 2 minutes and 10 seconds, and the bounce rate is 9.17%. Now, bounce rate is a metric that Google uses to measure what they call engagement. So a definition of engagement in Google's parlance is when somebody comes to a website and doesn't click on any buttons, they just arrive and leave again. They're said to have not engaged with it, and they have bounced from the site. So only 9.17 people have bounced from this site, it says there. Now we'll look at that in a second, but I can tell you that that would be a particularly good figure for the majority of websites if it was always the case. But what we can also do is we can look at one metric versus another. So if we look at the number of sessions versus bounce rate, so we'll bring up a second graph, and what we see is fairly typical figures here, actually quite good figures compared to most websites, in that we've got a bounce rate of only 28% there. That's great. Peaks up to 45%, then down to 25%, and up here it's 55%. A lot of websites will have bounce rates well in excess of 50%. So this is your challenge as a website owner, to try and get your bounce rate down. But look what happens here. A wonderful thing happens, and that is the bounce rate drops to virtually nothing throughout this period. Why would that be? Well, you can annotate these graphs if you wish to. If you know about particular events that might have affected your website's performance, you can add annotations. So you see this little down arrow here. I've added an annotation, and 22nd of July I've written there the schools broke up. So in this period you've got a situation where, well, prior to that, parents are coming and looking at the site, what can I do with the kids? They're not taking it all that seriously, or some of them are not. But suddenly after the schools break up, it's a different issue, because they've got children on their hands that they've got to keep amused for 6 weeks, and the bounce rate drops like a stone. So that's the first interesting thing we can pick up from that we've got a lot more of a focused audience in that period. If we look at the demographics for our audience and take an overview of it, we can see something that we probably would have expected, and that is that the biggest grouping of visitors is in the 25 to 34-year-old age group. In other words, young parents with kids that they've got to keep amused. If we look at the next statistic, we find that gender, 45% are female, 54% male. So is that because men like steam engines, and if they're going to go on a day out, they'd rather play on the trains and do, you know, a lot of other things? I would guess that's the case, but, you know, maybe I'm an old sexist. If we look at people's interests, we find that people are interested. Google reckons that the people who are coming to this site are interested in sports, computers and electronics, food and drink, cooking and recipes, including soups and stews. Don't know why that's a particular subcategory. Travel, and they're interested in tourist destinations, historical sites and buildings. So if you're going to advertise from this site, those are things that it might be good to advertise, things related to that. Let's look a little bit further down, look at the geography of it, and let's take a look at the locations that people are from. Not surprisingly, for a tourist attraction in Bedfordshire, just a small local attraction, the most visitors are coming from the UK. Normally, with most websites that I've ever run for myself, the next biggest number is the US. Here we seem to have a bit of a mystery. We've got Brazil in second place, which I've never seen before. But if we drill down into our location information, we get to see what cities they appear to be coming from, these interested in trains Brazilians. But what we can also do here, the region of our visitors is what Google calls a primary dimension, but we can look at secondary dimensions as well related to this. So if I click on this button, go to acquisitions, this is where we're acquiring our visitors from, and look at the referral path. What this tells us is that they don't look like real people. The /crawler.php implies softwares. The search engines use crawlers to go out and learn about websites. These are not real people that are coming from Brazil. From what I can see, it looks like they are actually what they call robots. So that explains that. Behaviors, let's have a look at that. The most important one, most interesting one here is engagement, because this tells us how long people are spending on the site. And we can see that of our 1,500 or so site visitors, 562 of them are clearing off before 10 seconds are up. Now again, that's not terribly surprising, because we know that websites during certain periods have high bounce rates. Our bounce rate on this site is pretty good, but what this tells us, the crucial thing that we should learn from this, is that you must be answering this "what's in it for me" question on your landing page. So whether that's the home page or some special landing page that you've arranged for people to arrive on, you've got to be delivering that emotional response of, oh, I like this site, I think I'll take a look around. And if you don't do that, then you'll get bigger bounces than you can see here. But the good news for us is we know on this site that on average people are staying for over 2 minutes. But it's to be, you know, that's for you as a website owner to be borne in mind. Definitely a statistic that you want to take a look at, what percentage of people are leaving before 10 seconds transpires, not sure. Technology, let's see what browsers people are using. Well, not surprisingly, it's the Apple one comes in top, or maybe that does surprise you. The Safari browser is used on the iPads and iPhones. After that, it's Chrome and Internet Explorer. Why is all that relevant? Why would you even bother to know that? Well, if we look at the mobile overview, this is a really key metric, and that's telling us that on this website, and it's totally typical, that only 40%, this figure here, of people are coming in via desktops and laptops. 32% are coming in on mobile, and 27% are coming in on tablet. Now this mobile figure increases a lot for websites that are specifically aimed at young people, like bridal wear and stuff like that. You'll see that figure go up to maybe 50%. So why is that important? Well, it's demonstrating, if you don't already know it, that you should have a website that is optimized for mobile and tablet. You know, a lot of I would say probably 90% of websites are still not mobile responsive, meaning that you're delivering a lesser user experience. People are coming in on mobile to a site that's not optimized, are having to zoom in to see what's on their screen to begin with, and then they're having to scroll left and right to read across the page and back again. A much lesser user experience. 30% of all sales on the internet now are via mobile, so it's crucial that you get this sorted out. If you're not optimized for mobile, you can't ignore it for much longer, because it's only getting worse as each new generation comes in. They're happier with the smaller screen. So that is something for you to take seriously if you haven't already done so. Here's a view I like, user flow, good graphical shot of what's going on your site. You can see here that of our 1,500 users, about 1,200 or so come into the home page. That's their arrival point, and happily for us, the biggest number go onto the events page. Now that's when they can look to see when they can get rides on the trains for their kids, so that's where we would want them to go. 693 turn up there in the 5-week period. If, say, 77 went there and 693 went to the galleries page, then perhaps we would need to redesign our site to make the events page more prominent, and that's something that we'd have to consider. So let's next look at acquisitions, namely where our visitors are coming from. We get this nice little pie chart which shows us at a glance that 51% are coming from other websites, from links to other websites, backlinks as they're called. Now that's great, because it means that we've got some important links out there that are working well for us. The green shows us organic search, Google and other search engines. The reddy orange color is direct. That means people put in our website address into their browser. And the small one, disappointingly small, is social. Now if we drill down into these, if we look at referrals, what we discover is we've got some important sites working for us. These are local websites that advertise local attractions where you can take your kids. So visit shefford.co.uk is doing a great job for us at 262 visitors. Days Out with the Kids is also doing a great job, and so is this m.days out with the kids. They're all doing excellently. So it's important for us to keep the listings up to date there, advertise with them if we had a budget to do so, which I don't think. I'm only really like a hands-off webmaster for this site. I don't have anything to do with the running of it, but if I was in charge and I had a budget, I might consider advertising with those sites. If we go back to the overview and have a look at what social is doing for us here, I had a surprise here which showed that TripAdvisor is the biggest social contributor with 55 visits during the period. Facebook, I don't have anything to do with Facebook, but Facebook is supplying us only 12 visitors for this website. So if I was controlling the Facebook page, I think I would be concluding that I need to work harder. Obviously, the resource is not there, it seems, to run the Facebook page and really drive traffic. Twitter doesn't exist here. Twitter's not doing anything, and YouTube, that could be another source of visits to the site. That doesn't seem to be performing either. So main takeaways from what I've looked at here are that the referral sites, visit shefford.co.uk and the Days Out with the kids type websites, we need to be sure that every year the listings on those sites are kept up to date. If we had the budget, we should consider advertising with them. We perhaps ought to go out and see if there are other referral sites like that we could get listings with. In fact, we have, but they don't seem to be performing. But that's something you might look at if you were running a similar site. And the biggest takeaway is that social media is doing virtually nothing for us, and that is definitely an area where we ought to sort of train our guns next, I would say, in order to boost performance on this website. So I hope that's been very rapid. I've been trying to keep this video under 15 minutes. I hope it's been useful, and I hope it encourages you to pay attention to Google Analytics if you're not already doing so. It's only been the basics, but that was the plan for this particular video. I may go into more depth in a later video. So thank you for listening, and I'll see you in the next video.